What's in the box, Shen?
It's a gift. Oh, it's your parting gift. In that it will part you. Part of you here, part of you there, and part of you way over there, staining the wall.
Lord Shen is DreamWorks' most terrifying villain, and that's because he's the most human villain there is. Now, DreamWorks is known for never dropping the ball when it comes to creating an antagonist in their films, with their own motives and goals. All these antagonists have depth to their character, and their underlying deeper issues are what forces them on the path of carnage. It puts them in direct contrast to the protagonists, because the very thing the villains want to try soothe their pain is the one thing the protagonists can't allow. And this is why the dynamic of Po and Shen is so interesting. This is why Shen is so interesting as a villain, and is terrifying. Shen is Po, and Po is Shen, and with this video I hope to discuss this a little bit further. To truly understand how terrifying Shen is, we have to understand what created this monster. Being born of royalty and promised land, wealth and power, Shen grew up with these objects being the form of love that was promised to him his whole life. So imagine growing up like that, and it being ripped straight from your hands from the same people that guaranteed those symbols of love. Now, his family was famous across all of China for the creation of the firework, and naturally Shen was excited and proud he was able to mold this firework into something even more grand, a weapon no one had ever seen in this world. This would surely bring more respect and fame to Shen's family name, or so Shen thought. When his parents saw what he had created, they showed nothing but fear and animosity. They even went as far as wiping a whole species to be free of a prophecy of being defeated. Okay, so then that begs the question, why does he feel the most human out of all the DreamWorks villains we've seen so far? I want to quote the creator of Nemo stating that,
all well-drawn characters have a spine. The character has an inner motor, a dominant unconscious goal that they're striving for, an itch that they can't scratch. Wally's was to find the beauty. Marlin's, the father in Finding Nemo, was to prevent harm.
And for Shen, it was to have utter and complete control of everything. In order to never feel the pain and betrayal his parents had given him, he decided total dominion over China was the best solution. And what is more human than that? Now, I'm sure we can all relate that we've had thoughts where, maybe if I could control how people act, maybe if I could control how people move towards me and talk towards me, I wouldn't get hurt anymore. It's for this reason that the absence of control is so relatable to the human condition. Shen is going through a very human experience right now, and that is the scary part. Usually when you see the inner mind of a villain, you can't really find the logic or empathy for his actions. But with Shen, he never wants to be hurt again, and so decides to have complete order of the world through the very thing he was demonized for. That makes sense, and that is relatable. Now, the lens towards he does it, that might be something up for debate. But unlike the average human, he has the resources and the ingenuity to bring this whole world to his knees. But despite his desire for conquest, there are some things he holds dear and won't let his wounded heart destroy. He could have easily locked away the Soothsayer until he needed another prophecy, but he keeps her around as a sort of advisor, hoping one day she would agree. Maybe her words would finally deter him from this never-ending road of violence. This small form of compassion shows that Shen is hurting and is desperately in need of his pain to stop, but not enough to listen to reason. However, the armor does break and he does falter in particular scenes.
My parents hated me. Do you understand? They wronged me. And I will make it right.
Now, Shen is sly, witted, and crafty, and that is shown from his design all the way to his dialogue. It even shows in his way of fighting. I mean, it's not coincidence that even though this is a kung fu movie, Shen's first option is to utilize his gift, which is not fighting, but his intellect in the form of the creation of the cannon. He only ever faces Po in combat towards the end, as a last resort in the movie. Time and time again, he uses the cannon to keep things he fears the furthest away from him as possible. He needs control of the situation at all times, and is shown to lose all composure if he doesn't. There is a stark contrast, yet similarity with him and Po. Po now realizes he has deeper traumas and issues of his own in need of addressing, and it also stems from what happened with his parents. It is that same fear of losing control that compels Shen to kill Po's village, to have his men deal with Po and chain him before he gets close to him, and even willing to destroy his family's former home, which was even a contingency plan, seeing as how he had the cannons aimed at the tower already, so he could shoot it at a moment's notice. Again, further showing his mind is never at peace. He even goes as far as to kill and injure his own men, if it meant he could defeat the Dragon Warrior with a cannon at point blank range rather than up close and personal. The final scene. Although he is a villain, it was hard to watch as everything he prepared for years was destroyed by a person like Po, a person he could have been. He hates Po because Po constantly gets back up despite his pain, despite his past. Shen should know the trauma of Po more than anyone. He was the one who took Po's parents away from him, and despite having reasons to rise to anger and show hatred towards Shen, Po shows compassion. We start to root even harder for Po, and Shen's whole persona finally breaks apart. How is Po able to move past his deeper issues with his parents and he isn't? Was he really destined to lose to Po no matter what? Is this what his revenge all amounted to? Did he really even want revenge? These are the questions rushing through Shen's mind, and before the final clash, Po sees himself in Shen and extends an olive branch of peace towards him. In Shen's eyes, he's come too far. Even though Po is living proof of being able to let go of the past, he refuses to live in the present and continues to fight desperately. He snaps a rope that was holding a cannon in place, and as if he was almost greeting the sweet release of death, Shen closes his eyes for the last time and is defeated. Not by Po, but by his own creation. Shen struggled and struggled and struggled just to be met by fate fulfilling his promise. Now look, by no means is Shen the strongest or the most idealistic villain out of the three in the Kung Fu Panda series. But what makes him so terrifying is that in another lifetime, he could have been an ally to Po. Shen could have been Po. The best foot forward in any situation is to not worry about the future, accept and learn from the past, and live in the present. Because if you don't, you could end up just like Shen. And that, my fellow viewers, is terrifying.
Only thing that matters is what you choose to be now.
You're right. Then I choose this.